We are live. This is the Real Sports Fan Podcast. Back for another episode. It is May 3rd. We made it to May, y'all. It's the first Monday in May, and we are here with you live. And we got a very special guest, gentleman I've known for a long time. My fellow Hawk. He has an awesome podcast, so we're gonna get into. And he's a big Giants fan. So no other. I want to introduce Mr. Randy Hayes. Randy, what's up, brother?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm blessed, man. I won't complain, bro.
Hey, that's what it is. You know, that's one thing my grandfather always said. He said I could complain, but ain't no sense complaining, so I
Facts.
won't complain. Yeah,
Facts.
yeah, yeah. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse, man. So we definitely blessed by the best.
Hey, your words definitely matter, man.
Man, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. So look, man, I really appreciate you finding the time to be with me tonight. You know, we had a nice conversation some months back, man, and you talked about this podcast, which I definitely want to get into real heavy. The Think Tank podcast, hosted by Mr. Randy Hayes, the owner and proprietor of that. So we're gonna get into a lot of that, and I'm gonna get him to promote that a lot. Because you guys haven't heard of it or listened to it, you got to do that. So we're going to be doing that, promoting that a lot. I want my Facebook friends and people to see that on YouTube to go and subscribe, and he's going to tell you all about that. But first and foremost, you are a Giants fan. You know, last time I checked,
Yep.
you are a Giants fan. Okay. Talk to me a little bit, you know, about how you feel. You know, about your off season and your draft. You know, I'm a big Kenny Galladay fan, you know, Kenny
Mm,
G fan. It
mm.
surprised a lot of people that move. And I hear some people saying that you guys overpaid, but the market was the market, you know, and to get Danny Dimes, as they call them, those weapons, you know, you had to go out and get him that other guy. You know, so now you got Galladay, you know, and Saquon in the backfield. You know, he should be fully healthy to go. Obviously, Sterling Shepard. You got the other receiver, you know, out there on the end. So just
Darius
talk to me a little
Slayton.
bit about you. Darius Slayton, thank you. Darius Slayton, you know, who I yeah, got me a couple of fantasy wins
Yeah, yeah,
last
yeah,
year too.
yeah.
I was like, yeah. We still on that. We still on that. Actually, hold on, segue. I'm sorry, segue. You actually the first one I played fantasy with. Me,
Okay.
you, and Irv.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, man, you created a monster, but that's a whole other
Man,
subject. We'll talk about that. But
absolutely,
listen, I'm
man.
sorry. Tell me about your Giants, man. What you think about y'all so far?
Man, bro, before we even get into that, man, I thank you for having me on the podcast, man. I'm a big fan of the podcast. What you on, like season 4 or something like that, man?
Yeah, season 4, man. Yeah,
Season
yes, sir.
4,
Come a
man.
long way.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody, they just getting with this, man. You had the vision and foresight and following your passion, and you real natural with it, man. I almost liken you to Shannon Sharp, man. Like you do your homework. You do your homework.
Oh man, that
Like
means a lot, man.
for real, man.
Thank
I was afraid to, I was like, man, I hope you don't do any homework on me and my high school football career, man. If he did some homework on that, he see that I was riding the bench. You know what I mean?
Hey, I
Like,
could have. I could have.
yeah, I was like,
You
man,
never
because
know. You never know.
look, that's how you do, Lance. You be like, man, I remember, back in week 3, you know what I'm saying? You had 16 points, 8 boards, and I think you hit the
Yeah.
game winner with 3 seconds left. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, this man is thorough. He's
Hey, I
thorough with it. So
appreciate
I
you.
appreciate
I
that.
appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
The Giants, one of the things that you never want to, hear as a fan is that you're in rebuilding mode. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to hear that. And, I had to embrace it going into last season that we were in rebuilding mode. Once again,
Mm-hmm.
we had a new coach where, nobody knew how the season was going to go with COVID, right? I mean, we had just
Right.
got finished, coming off of an NBA postseason in a bubble, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You got players opting out. Our starting left tackle opted out, and a couple other
Mm-hmm.
players. Every team had to go through that. And, one of the things that I appreciated most, I know you talked about the team, man, but I got to start with the head coach, man.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, in the New York market, we real big into, the glitz and the glam, but we're a
Yep.
tough market, man. If you don't
Yep.
show, then we're gonna eat you alive. And a lot of
Fact.
times when we're drafting players, we have to make the decision, will they be able to survive in our market?
That's
It's
true.
just an
That's true.
unusual thing that, some other teams don't have to think about. So,
Hmm.
I was a little skeptical on the Joe Judge hire at first. Like, honestly, I wanted Eric Bieniemy. I wanted,
Yep. Yep.
the brother that, maybe could, put this
Hmm.
surge of energy into the group, and just one of those offensive masterminds coming from, Andy Reid's system and whatnot. I thought he would have been a real good
Yep.
fit and stuff like that. But over time, even when we were losing games, I was like, I saw how the players were responding. I'm like, man, they really believe in this coach. They really believe in this
Hmm.
coach. So, we started off slow, and then we started picking it up some. And then, Danny Dimes had the hamstring injury, and that threw us off and
Yep.
whatnot. But I mean, and then of course Saquon. I mean, that
Yeah.
was a huge hit. But I'm telling you, man, like, I'm really excited about the direction this team's going, man. And because I know that you're real heavy into the Delmarva market. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm
Not anymore. I'm Pepco now. Pepco
you
market now.
Pepco.
That's what's up.
Pepco. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
Pepco. Yeah. Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
I'm a hold my peace on Philadelphia fans, but y'all know what it is, Philly. Y'all know what it is. Y'all,
Uh-huh.
there's no love lost between
Nah. It
Philly
ain't.
and New York, man. I mean, it's the same with
Nah.
the Cowboys and the Washington
Yep.
football team. It's the
Yep.
same thing, man. So y'all know what y'all did at the end of the season,
Yep.
man.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm a
Yeah. Oh
big
yeah.
fan, I'm a big believer in karma, man. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is.
Let's talk. Let's put a pin in it. Right? I'm glad you brought that up because that was an interesting topic. About the last game of the year and you know what they did, taking the quarterback out, putting who they put in, and should
Crazy.
they have done it and this and
Oh
that.
nine.
Give me some more of your thoughts on that as far as the people like this, the people that say, well, if you took care of business, you wouldn't have to worry about it, or the people that say about, like you said, karma come back, they should have kept him in. Just talk a little bit about that.
Well, in the famous words of uh was it Sherman? What was my man's name, man? That we used to coach the Jets. Herman.
Herm Edwards. Herm Edwards.
Herm
Yeah.
Edwards. In the famous words of
Herm
Herm
Edwards.
Edwards, you play to win the game. You play to win the game. And so here I am. I'm over at my brother-in-law's spot. He's a Cowboys fan. We watching the last game of the season.
Mhm.
I went from an immediate high to finding out that the Eagles they weren't starting like
Mhm. Mhm.
like 30% of their starters, right?
Mhm.
Wentz wasn't even dressing out for the game. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? They go on Hurts. I'm like, all right, cool. You know what, man? Like, I know these Philly teams better than most people. I know that they can still be competitive, and they were.
Mhm.
All the way until I believe it was the fourth quarter when they made that
Yeah, it was.
decision to pull
Yep.
Hurts. They could have went down, marched down the field, and took the lead. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I turned off the TV at that point, and I know this might be a family show, so I'm not gonna say
No,
the
you good,
things
brother.
that the things that were going through my head, but like, once again, Philly, y'all know what it is, man.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the things, it played out the way it did. Okay, so fast forward, for those who say that it's you should have taken care of business. Well,
Uh-huh.
what I love about football, man, you get 16 games, and this year we'll get 17. You get
17. Yep.
16 games, and it's not necessarily how you start, but it's how you finish. The
Mhm.
years that we won the Super Bowl, the year that we beat the undefeated Patriots, we lost our first 2 games, and everybody knows the stats. If you go 0-3, there's no way that you're gonna
That's
make the
right.
playoffs,
Yeah.
let alone win the Super Bowl and whatnot.
Right.
And
Right.
we fought back, and there's all sort of adversity that if you're not like a fan of the team, you don't really follow. But you're watching these rookies progress. You're watching our defense, man. To be honest with you, our defense was a really
Y'all
strong
play
unit,
solid.
man. Like
Yeah,
our
for
defense
sure.
was a really strong unit, man. And I'm like excited that we had a couple edge rushers, a couple of corners and whatnot. But
Hmm.
people who say that, I mean, I don't feel like most people who actually played the game would feel that way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The people
Yeah, I
that
feel
play
you.
the game
Hmm.
know that, especially if you're like a professional, like this is your livelihood. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like Philly wasn't a team that was tanking all season. They
Hmm.
had a chance to they had a chance to get in the playoffs all the way until the week before.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what I'm
true.
saying? But
That's
the
true.
reason why they put um, rivalry games at the end of the season is so that everyone still has something to play for. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like this is like it matters when you're talking to folks. Like I have friends who are Cowboys, Eagles, and Washington football team fans. And
Hmm.
no matter what the record is, you have that bragging rights. If you won that game, you still have that bragging rights.
That's
So
true. That's true.
I and to be honest with you, like the very next week, the Washington football team, they kind of, you know, they kind of laid an egg
Hmm.
against the
Hmm.
the now defending Super Bowl champs. But
Hmm.
if y'all saw what we did against um, the Tampa Bay Patriots, no, I'm just joking. If you saw what we did against them on Monday Night Football, when we were really robbed in that game, that was one of
Yeah.
the games
Yeah.
that we were robbed where there was that controversial pass interference call to end the game.
Yeah.
You know what
That's
I'm
true.
saying? Like
True.
I know that we had a much favorable matchup against them in that
Hmm.
situation. You know what I mean? So things could have really played out completely different because that Tampa Bay football team, they ended up like gaining momentum game after game. You could see their confidence growing. So I feel like it
True.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
really
You
an
could.
even playing field at that point in time. So you're messing with the integrity of the game, man. And I
Yeah.
mean, everybody knows who the real NFC champ should have been that year.
Hey, hey, I will say when you talk about the integrity of the game, I support you because even in that game, I know you talked about them having a chance to go win it, but even before that, they had a chance to tie it up and they
Yep.
went for it too. So yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
could
yeah.
get
That
into
that
a
that
lot. Yeah,
crazy
remember that?
fourth down.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and for that, I remember that too. I remember
They
that too. So
self-sabotaging over there.
yeah,
And the
yeah.
worst part
So
to me about that is
mm.
all they do is I mean I'm really trying to hold my peace with Philly. I'm really trying to hold my peace with, but all they did after that
Oh
was
man.
they end up trading back
Hmm. Hmm.
after all that. You know what I'm saying?
That's all
Like
that. That's
they
all
ended
that.
up
Yep.
trading back
Hmm.
and then trading up. It's just a hot mess. The whole thing was a hot
Yeah.
mess. I'm like, yo, if y'all really
Yeah.
wanted to be, the 10th pick in the draft, all y'all
Hmm.
had to do was win the game.
Hmm.
Just win the
Hmm.
game.
Yep.
Y'all could have still
Yep.
ended up where y'all ended up. Y'all did all that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and and furthermore, if you say that, Doug Peterson, I don't know if he knew that he was out. I don't think he knew that he was out, like to make that decision. But
Maybe he did.
for
He
him
didn't
to
care.
say that he wanted to get a quality look at, does anybody know the name
Right.
of the quarterback that he said he wanted to get a quality look at? Well, I
Yeah.
mean, how about this
Yeah.
is your new starting quarterback this year hasn't played but like
Hmm.
a couple handfuls of games,
Hmm.
and that game had a playoff atmosphere. So you really robbed
Hmm.
him of quality experience. If I'm going to play devil's advocate
Yeah.
as an Eagles fan, you really robbed him of quality experience. The way I see it is, you know what I'm saying? Let him, I mean, y'all stacked the deck against him. You didn't have all the best players out there. You know what I'm saying? But if he's gonna shoulder it and win it, then he earned that thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, it's fun. It's funny because I started something with that because look, that's still a little touchy subject.
Oh,
It's still a little touchy subject.
It's real touchy, man. It's real
Hey,
touchy,
I feel you,
bro.
man. I feel you. I appreciate the insight because I also want to talk about and I named, obviously you guys getting Galladay and you guys already actually having Saquon and you talk about Slayton and I've always liked Sterling Shepard. He just knows where to be at the right time. I've always liked him in the slot. And then obviously Evan Ingram. But you also in the draft got another receiver from Florida, Tony. And yeah, how you feel about y'all draft with another receiver, number 20th pick, and then also some of the other talent you got? I know you got an outside linebacker in the second round, number 50.
So
50th pick.
With Tony, aka Joker,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I missed when Odell left was, in Giants history, I can name a few dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Dogs. And
Mm-hmm.
if you play the game, if you're a real fan of the game, you know what I mean when I say dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Odell was a dog. I can go back to, Jeremy Shockey was a dog.
Yeah, I like Jeremy Shockey.
Obviously, LT was a dog. LT was the dog of all dogs. You know what I'm saying? And so I think Tony is another dog, man. I'm excited to have him. And to be honest with you, it wasn't on my radar. This offseason, we've done a lot of things that are uncharacteristic of us. For one, we didn't go into the offseason with a lot of salary cap. And I'm still amazed and astonished on how we pulled off all of the signings we did with our limited salary cap, man. And for us to get Galladay, man, I mean, we haven't had since Plax, we haven't had like a receiver like that. And I know Eli's got to be like,
OBJ, you had OBJ.
Yeah. I'm talking about like the stature, the wingspan.
You're talking about the size. You're talking about the size part.
The big size dude. You know what I'm saying? Who like
6'4".
You know what I'm saying? Like is a red zone target. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like fade route, 50-50 balls. And Odell, he could do the 50-50 balls, but I mean,
Are
you
worried about the injury history a little bit? You worried about the injury history a little bit with Kenny?
No, man. I think we did a good job with like all of the signings that we did. We were very conscious with both our wide receivers, and the same thing could be said for our secondary. We were very conscious on both sides of the ball of like, adding a lot of depth. You know what I'm saying? Like we added John Ross in the offseason, and I mean, that's not a big splash, but look, man, if that dude can hit a couple go routes for us and, you know what I'm saying, like spread the defense, like, I think that we've added so many, security blankets, and the same thing could be said about, Sterling Shepard, man. The man's had like 3 concussions in the past 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like,
that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, it may not be perceived that like wide receiver was like a true need for us, but like that's what I like, Tony. I mean, we got like a nice mix. We can keep people fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have to ride them till the wheels fall off. I mean, we have an opportunity to mix up, some formations, some different sets. And one other thing I gotta say as a Giants fan, man. I don't know many times that you will find that a fan is pissed that one of their players made the Pro Bowl. And that's how a lot of us Giants fans feel about Evan Ingram. We're like,
he definitely should have made it.
The guy's got amazing talent, but like
he does.
You hate to put it on players, but all he had to do was secure a beautiful pass that Danny Dimes threw to him against the Eagles. That would have been another W. You know what I'm saying? There's a few others that if you go on YouTube right now, because I was just looking at it on Saturday with my brother-in-law and stuff, if you go on YouTube, there's actually a compilation of Evan Ingram's drops. It's
Wow.
amazing, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, so he on paper is definitely a weapon, but that's why I like the Kyle Rudolph signing. We signed Kyle Rudolph.
Underrated.
He's underrated, man, but the dude's got great hands. You know what I'm saying? You know what I saw in his
He
highlights?
does.
I was like,
He does.
this guy's catching the ball. This guy's catching the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, you asked me, would I rather have Kevin Boss or Evan Ingram? Well, it depends on if you're catching the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you know, tight ends, their job is not necessarily to run like a 4-3-40. Their job is to move the chains. They're supposed to be the ultimate security blanket for a quarterback, and he's let us down time and time again. But he's on the team, man. I'm gonna give him another shot this year.
Yeah, and let me say this last thing. After this last thing about the Giants, so then we're gonna move on to the man himself, Randy Hayes, and talk to you a little bit. Danny Dimes, as we call him, you know, he's got the nickname. You know, coming in, I remember when Caps was, you know, talking about he shouldn't be drafted before Haskins. You know, Haskins was better and all this and. I remember that, you know, clearly. Now, you know, that's switched up a lot where those things people aren't saying this. But let me ask you this. Obviously, you guys going out and getting Kenny Galladay, you guys going and drafting another receiver in the draft, Tony from Florida. He's got all the weapons he needs now. You know, they're doing this because they know that he needs more weapons, you know, and they're just trying to make him more and more comfortable, you know, behind center. Now, you still got to protect. You know, we talked about that last night. Some of the boys. Offensive line is key, and maybe you can speak on the offensive line. But is it put up or shut up now for Danny Dimes? I mean, what are you expecting from him with all these weapons he's got in this year? And again, I'm not even asking you, you know, they're going to make the playoffs. I'm just asking you, how is Danny Dimes going to perform with all these weapons?
Man, I tell you what, man. At this point in time, it is definitely put up and shut up, put up or shut up. I mean, we go back to the draft for a second. Something else Gettleman did, he's never done in his time as a GM, is he traded back twice in the draft. He traded back twice. You know what I'm saying? In the first and second round. So we added more capital next year. Now, if you're Danny Dimes, you got to think, man, they got me all these weapons, these receivers. You know what I'm saying? We added some depth at running back. We added some tight ends. You know, this offensive line, you know, it's a young core, but once again, they showed a lot of promise, you know, going down a stretch where they had Wayne Gallman looking like a all-pro for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's definitely put up or shut up. You know, one of the things that definitely concerns me is, you know, his ball security. I'm not as concerned about, you know, the interceptions. I'm not worried about that. But, you know, the fumbles, which is coachable. That is something that can be fixed. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's year 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, people were able to stack the box against us because we didn't have receivers getting separation. You know what I'm saying? People were stacking the box, even though we didn't have Saquon Barkley. But now, you know what I'm saying? With all the weapons we have in the backfield and out wide, you're looking at a situation. Teams got to play us straight up. They got to respect us, you know, over the top. They got to respect us up in the middle. I don't anticipate seeing a lot of stacked boxes when you got Kenny Galladay and Joker and Evan Ingram out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot going on, man. But back to the draft for a second. You know, all those draft picks that we have next year, I mean, those could very easily be Danny Dimes' replacement if he doesn't put up this year. You know what I'm saying? Like,
interesting.
Like, you know, it's kind of ironic that, you know, what the Bears gave us for the 11th pick, you know, we might ironically be drafting our quarterback with their pick next year. Who knows how that'll play out? So it's definitely put up or shut up at this point, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that perspective out, as far as what happens. Yeah, obviously what he needs to do, but I appreciate you bringing out the perspective of if it doesn't work out, what you guys could do next year. So, yeah, we'll definitely revisit that, man. I definitely appreciate your insight on the New York football Giants. Like I said, ever since I know you was a Giants fan. So definitely appreciate that. I know you talked about me, but I love you got the get up backdrop with the books behind you and all that, like ESPN get up. I love it,
Hey,
brother.
you know what,
I
man?
love it.
When you see people like, Casey Roberts, with championship trophies
Yeah.
in their case and stuff like that, man, I'm like, man,
Yeah,
I got to do
Case.
something, man. You know what I'm saying? My wife had to
Case.
let me turn this into like a man cave. So this is the best I can do. I can, do something with the backdrop.
Uh, listen. I had to do something similar and started changing my backdrop up from last year because this is supposed to be my man cave. My daughter's taking this over completely, so I gotta have something here. So you'll see everything that she's got in here. You know how that is.
Hey, man, but you got that D Wade jersey in the shadow box, man. I see you though. I do see you. You know what I'm saying?
My
Yeah.
bad, my bad. So listen, man, tell the people, that don't know you, who Randy Hayes is. Tell the people, where you were born, a little bit about your childhood, and and just start from there and go.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm originally a Carolina boy. I was born in Fayetteville, North Carolina. I moved to Raleigh, and ended up moving to Louisville, Kentucky, then to Stafford, Virginia, and that's where I spent my adult life in Virginia. Um, when you met me, Lance, you met me on the tail end of Angry Man. And I hate to say that while
Yep,
you're drinking something right now. You met me
yep.
on the tail end of Angry Man. You know what I'm saying? You knew me more as Rev than Angry Man. You probably didn't even know
Yeah.
why they called me Angry for real. But I had just had like a transformation in my life. I always knew God, but I was definitely seeking the way of the world, and um living a pretty good life. I'm not gonna say I was living my best life, but I was living a pretty good life. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Out in the streets and whatnot. And God did like a 180 in my life over the summer. So people, saw me coming back to school as a completely different person that I went into school with. I accepted my call to ministry, I think was at like age 22, 23. And I finished up my, college career, as a minister of the gospel. Um, I'm married. I have uh, two beautiful kids, beautiful wife, 10 years of marriage, and I'm working for the federal government now. Um, got a clothing line. To God be the glory.
That's
TGB,
right.
TG apparel. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right, go buy something. Go buy something. I'm long
Yes.
overdue.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, I've always had the grind in me, and you know, I'm I'm trying to, be a good role model for, my kids, especially my son, coming behind me with the grind and whatnot. But with all that being said, I'm still a man. You know what I'm saying? My
Mm.
struggles are no different than the rest of y'all's. I'm going through right now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just grateful that I've stored up some equity with all of these resources behind me. Studying to show
Mm.
myself approved, and being prepared to give a witness, and preach the gospel in season and out of season. So
Mm.
that's a little bit about me and what I'm up to these days, man.
I was, it's funny. I was sitting here, earlier, and I was, scrolling through, trying to find my notes. I had some notes that I took from each episode, and I do want you to talk about. We're gonna get into for people listening. Randy Hayes, a minister, owner of a clothing apparel. He has an awesome podcast called the
Mm-hmm.
Think Tank Podcast that
Mm-hmm.
you can find on Spotify, and I'll let him talk about excuse me, the other places you can find it.
Yeah.
But I really want to get into a lot with the podcast. And while I was
Mm-hmm.
scrolling through earlier, I had some notes that I had on like each episode. Yeah. Like I had at least one thing I necessarily might not ask each, but I had some things I just jotted down. I'm sitting here
Appreciate it,
looking.
man.
I can't find my notes, right?
That's love. That's
So,
love, man.
but it's, oh yeah, because this is the thing. I know now why I don't need my notes, because something you just said. I'm going to change my format, not my format, but what I was originally going to ask you after that, because of what you just said. You talked about being a black man.
Mm-hmm.
Your second episode, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
your third episode, your second episode.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Randy, and I'm a black man.
Yes, sir.
Talk about the struggle between being identified as a Christian before a black man. Talk to me.
Yeah. So, one of the things that I did, before I started working for the government, I was actually working for a Christian bookstore chain called Lifeway Christian. And I was kind of in my nice little ancillary, Christian bubble and whatnot. And, when I talk to, my white brothers and sisters, I think that they have the privilege, if you will, of identifying themselves as a Christian before their race or their gender. And I wanted to specify that, for the folks that were listening to the podcast, because a lot of people weren't sure what direction I was going. I've always been a woke dude, you know what I'm saying? Like someone who, has been like super conscious, and even before it was cool, I was that guy, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that has never left me, because my eyes are open to, everything that's going on in the environment around me. But being a black man, it's a huge target on your back. A lot of people feel threatened by you. A lot of people despise you. A lot of people want to be you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And they just don't know how to cope with, something that a lot of us as black men don't even recognize. People see greatness in us, or they don't understand how we're able to thrive under certain conditions, or how we are able to have such a enriching culture. You know what I'm saying? And to make the best out of, bad situations. I mean, it's almost like magic. And people cope with that in many different ways. One of the things that was mentioned this past week, people were talking about is, America, a racist country. I believe that there's obviously a system in place that is not to the benefit, and is definitely to the detriment of minorities and those who are, disenfranchised and marginalized. So, the answer is yes. Whether y'all like it or not, that's the answer. Just got to keep it real with you. In a lot of the episodes, I speak through that context, because it's funny when you're on Facebook. I got a lot of friends of every different culture and stuff like that. But you know how Facebook does their algorithms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like all I see are my black friends a lot of times and stuff. I have to wonder, like, I wonder what's going on. So are they still on Facebook? I check on them and they're there. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah.
So
True.
it's just funny how we deal with those things, and that's definitely the context of my podcast, because my podcast as a whole, I hope that the people who listen to it are able to glean information from it, because my podcast is a little bit more informational in nature than entertainment in nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're, working your desk job, or if you're working out at the gym, or if you want to listen to me right before you go to sleep, whatever the case is, you know what I'm saying? You hit the play button and it'll play in the background. And it's something that
Got that
it's
soothing
really,
music on there in the background.
it's really you following my journey as I try to be the best person I can be. And I've just pinned down different aspects, that maybe, you take something from it, it'll take you that next step in your life.
Yeah, yeah, it's set up, brilliantly, bro. And I'm not even gonna lie to you. And like I said, I'm straight off the top right now. You've actually inspired me, you know, for some stuff I'm already thinking about doing next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like real talk, real talk. You know what I mean? Some stuff I'm already talking about doing next year. So what you're doing, and that's why it's important, man. The Think Tank podcast. Go, Spotify, man. Go find Randy Hayes. I'm telling you, because you hit a lot of different avenues, and like you said, it's very informative, man. It's very informative, and it's deep, man. They're like honestly, like I didn't gonna lie to you. I said before you came, I said, okay, I want to make sure that I listen, to all the episodes, because I just been behind. I started listening to first, and you get, how it is, man. Sometimes you don't even mean to not,
No
So
doubt.
I listened to one, and it just drew me in, like someone that threw the fishing line out there, and I kept just listening to all of them. I just listened to all of them the same day, man. Like probably whatever hour span. But anyway,
You did a binge
um
listening.
I did a binge listening, man. It was great. Like it
That's
was
what's
great,
up, bro.
and it was a couple episodes I didn't listen to every particular
Mm-hmm.
minute, but
Yeah,
I got enough of the grasp of it. I
yeah.
listened to the majority of it, and for this one here, and I'm just going to flow and go to this one. There was one that I just listened to for the second time,
Mm.
actually about an hour ago, because I said that I gotta make sure that I'm listening to this correctly, and I don't come out of box, or make
Mm-hmm.
sure that I'm doing my due diligence. And it's the criminal justice
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
episode,
Mm-hmm.
man. It was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great episode. I'm not going to tell everybody about it. That's why you need to go and subscribe and go check it out. But one thing I took, and I want to hear your perspective, but I'm gonna get out what I took
Mm-hmm.
first from it. That was one of the ones that I kept thinking about even today. It was great hearing from a black lawyer,
Yes.
and from you even talked about the Breonna Taylor case and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Now, me personally, and like I said, there's no disrespect to him, but I wish I just heard more from a black man that happens to be a lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
instead of a lawyer that's a black man.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And that might not make sense for some people, but go
Mm-hmm.
listen. You know what I mean? And
No
again, it's
doubt.
no disrespect,
Yeah.
at all, to him. But that's just how I took from it. But just talk to me a little bit about what you took from that episode, and how it
Yeah.
all played out.
So shout out to Oloshan Williams, who once again another UMES Hawk. He
Yeah,
was
Hawks,
he
baby.
was he was actually one of my roommates. We stayed in the clusters together at one point, and that was when
That was clutch.
I was angry man. That was the height of angry man. He called the height of angry man.
We're gonna talk some more about anger, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, yeah, but he I appreciate the context of which he brought, and it's one of those things, like, and when we talked about it before we jumped on this podcast, like, I wish I had more time. I wish I had more
Yeah,
time to dive into it. But it's one of those issues that I'll definitely be circling back to in more episodes. But it's meant to get the conversation going. So
that's it, bro.
I appreciate the point of view that he took,
Yep.
for the reason that it really touches on some things that you don't hear people talking about as much. You hear people talking about, defund the police. You hear people talking about, like, more accountability with the police system and whatnot, but you don't hear people talking about, we need more black police. We need, we need more black lawyers. We need to be invested in the whole voting system and things that. So he brought a different perspective, and that's what I hope in all of these episodes, that it'll bring like a different perspective on a topic. So yeah, and you know what, man? Like, I've had other talks with him offline, and he gave me a little bit more of the black man, but I do appreciate the approach that he took,
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
podcast from that sense as well. I definitely feel what you're
yeah.
saying. The reason that I reached out to him last summer was because I just wanted to know, like, man, how is it that whether, you know, it's a bench trial or a jury trial, all these bad people are getting off. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
yeah,
when
yeah,
when it's the black people who are the bad people, you know, they
yeah.
get thrown underneath the jails, you know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Underneath the
yep.
courthouse. But you know, when it's those who are in privilege, you know, it seems that they get off, whether it's a jury or
Hmm.
if it's a bench trial. And the
Hmm.
ironic thing,
Hmm.
bro, I'm gonna tell you, the ironic thing is I actually have jury duty this week.
That's crazy.
I have jury duty
Oh
this week.
man.
And all I could think about was the soapbox that O got on, talking about when you get called in for jury duty, don't be like, man, I can't do it. I'm not trying to do it. It's gonna be a waste of my time.
Hmm.
You need to embrace that responsibility. I had those little voices in my head, and I was like,
Hmm.
well, ain't this something?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah,
let him know that, you know, that
yeah,
I've done my civic duty. You know what I'm saying? When
yeah.
that time comes, and you know, we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned jury duty because I had that same mindset some years back. Not only was I selected, but I was the head juror. I had to read the
Oh,
decision, and it was a big case too. Like, yeah, you know, and I felt like I made an impact though. You know, I really
that's
did
what's
in a
up.
positive way. But yeah, but I digress. But I agree with you. Like you said, it was a great episode, and I like the perspective he brought. And then I'll move on to another episode. I like the perspective that he brought. You know, about, you know, prosecutors and that side of things, and even the analogy he brought, you know, talking about the barber, you know, and stuff like that. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
it was great. You know, it was great. So yeah, and I like what you said before I move on. You said one thing, man, that it always makes me feel good about what I'm doing, because, man, one reason I do this, I don't do it for likes, for shares, for views. I do it to get conversation started.
Yes,
And you said that, like, and you said it did its job, because what are we doing now?
that's
We're
right.
having a conversation about it.
That's
So it
right.
opens up conversation. I always tell people, like, even in the church, I tell people, I'm like, some things it needs to be said to start conversations. I
Yeah.
said, I said, I'm going to my soapbox a little bit, but, you know, even somebody that comes into the church, obviously they have a story. They have
Yeah.
something that's going on. And when you first see them, sometimes we want to hit them upside the head of the Bible and give them
Mm-hmm.
that word right then and that. But they
Mm-hmm.
might just need to know Jesus loves you.
Right.
You know what I mean? They might just need to have a hug. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? You know, I mean, you just never know,
Absolutely.
you know, what someone, you know, might need. So I appreciate you, you know, saying that,
No doubt.
and because it is starting an awesome conversation. Um, I want to talk about, you had talked about when I met you, it was the end of Angry Man, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
towards the end of Angry Man.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I've known you as Angry Man, even though, you know, when I remember Irv, shout out to Irv, I'm sure I'll
Yes.
hear from him
Yep.
later on. I remember
E.
when I met, yeah, you're right. Shout out to E. You know, so what y'all used to call y'all? Yeah, oh, we ain't gotta talk about that. Never mind. We live. But you know, one thing he used to talk about, yeah, he used to call Angry Man, like, hell, Angry Man. You know,
Right.
but I used to see it coming out every now and then,
Yeah. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I could see where you was like a mean dude, like you ain't play, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, I know you obviously, you know, sometimes I call you Patrick, sometimes I
Mm-hmm.
call you Randy, you know,
Yep.
and so forth. But I say all that to say this. You bring back some UMS memories. I remember the summer. You gotta remember the summer, man. We was all there together. Me, you, Irv, Lamont. Oh man, the list was on, was
Young
like two, three
Dro.
more people.
Young
Young
Dro.
Dro, thank you, bro. Oh, bro, one of the best
Terry.
summers of my life, man. Yeah, Terry. Man, shout out to Terry, man. I ain't seen that man a long time, man. Hope all is well. But yeah, like that summer was awesome, man. But I say all that to say this. I remember, you know, we used to play, you know, 21, 3-on-3, stuff like that.
Oh
And I
yeah. Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
having to go to your place one time. And when
Mm-hmm.
I came in there, hey, it wasn't a shame again. You had the Bible out,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you were studying, right?
Yeah.
You were studying.
Yeah.
And I come from a church. I came from a church background as well
Mm-hmm.
as a kid. So for me, seeing, you know, a young college black male at that time, that it's summertime, it's warm, you could be out, you know, chasing
Mm-hmm.
girls, it could be out
Mm-hmm.
doing this. He in the word at a young age.
Yeah.
So that was big for me to see. Because again, I'm 36. Just turned 36. I still remember
Yep.
that. And
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? We were in our early 20s, so you probably didn't know even the impact that you had on me, even saying that, right?
That's what's up, man.
But I'm saying all that, being along with it, saying all that for this reason. One of your episodes you talked about, and I always tell people, say you never know what people are going through. You know, there was something that drew you to God, right? It was something that drew you to God, and it was a unfortunate situation where you experienced some death, you know, tragedy in your family, you know. And then so I'm listening to this, I'm thinking back, like, oh, now it makes sense. Now I understand
you got the
why at
context.
that time, why why it was going. So I was just amazed, like, oh, I didn't know he was going through that. Like, man, like I'm it was just wild. Like I'm praying then, like it just happened, because I'm like, oh, back then, you know, obviously, you know, it's not saying I should have known, but you know, you just never know the weight that people are carrying. You know what I mean? So you don't have to get into specifics or not like that, but just talk about being drawn to God and how, you know, sometimes God allows things to happen in your life, you know, to draw you closer to Him.
Yeah. So, you know, it's kind of random how I find when I first knew that I was called to be a minister. I was just riding down the road with my mom. I was like 13, 14 years old. And I heard this like inaudible voice, and it's like, "You're gonna be a minister." I was like, "What?" Which is kind of random. It's like it wasn't even on my radar or anything. And I ended up that I never forgot that moment, but I ended up like running from my calling for like a decade. And you know, I remember even, you know, my wife, my then girlfriend, you know, when she was seeing like, you know, the height of Angry Man, she was like, "Are you sure you're gonna be a minister? Like, you know, like, is that," you know, it didn't seem like. And I had a biggest tragedy in my life. I had two of my cousins. They were killed in a quadruple homicide, man. And at that point in time, it got worse. It got worse after that. I had more resentment, but the Lord was like working something in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like I ended up like, he just started opening my eyes to like another dimension of like, you know, spiritual warfare that was going on. And you know, it just so happened, right, that a year, 364 days after their death, that I was accepting my call to ministry.
Wow.
And you know, a lot changed with my character in that time. My personality stayed the same. But it's you know, my walk is completely authentic. You know, we hear about, you know, we hear about the bad apples and, you know, the pulpit, just like we hear about them on the police force and everywhere else, right? You know, but one thing about me is I never came into ministry with some sort of ambition, you know, to lord over people. That was never something that, you know, got me into ministry. You know what I'm saying? I came from, you know, a very pure place, and like I know that He's called me to be like a big strong warrior for Christ. And you know, I don't take that lightly. You know what I'm saying? Whether you know, I'm going through, you know, the mountaintops or the valleys, you know, I still have a relationship with Him. And it's really humbling when you think about like, you know, especially us being parents now, right? You know what I'm saying? We just want our kids to do right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we know we got the keys for them, right? You know what I'm saying? We got the keys for them. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, Levi, you want to be a great drummer? Oh, you want to be a great basketball player? Bet, man. You know, if you want to be a great basketball player, you need to do these foot drills. You know what I'm saying? You need to get out on the court, put them shots up. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know the keys. And, you know, our Father, you know, He has the keys for us as well, man. And I know it's real humbling when you sit back and think what we put Him through sometimes. But He still loves us no matter what, man. So I guess we can take up the offering now, man.
Facts. Yes, sir. You definitely gave it, and you know, your perspective on a lot of things, man, is very I ain't gonna lie, it surprised me on some things. I'm talking about surprising in a good way, in a
Yeah.
positive way, because sometimes people starting off and you might think they people say holier than thou,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
might not think their perspective is like yours, but
Mm-hmm.
even more and more I listen to you, man, whether it's on social media, whether it's the podcast, whether it's talking to you now, whether it's talking to you, the conversation we had a couple of months ago, just talking to you then, is that we have a lot of the same likeness and interest in different things that, some church folks, might not, maybe like, well, why you doing that, or why you like that, or
Yeah,
and we're not even talking about, we're not talking about sin. Like none of this is sin.
yeah,
You understand what I'm saying? But
yeah.
sometimes,
It's
like,
called
I,
religion, man. It's
yeah,
called
thank you, brother.
religion.
Thank, thank you,
Religion
brother.
is, and you know what, man? Like, I gotta tell you, man. Like, if you would have
Yeah.
met me, like, in especially those first few months, like,
Yeah.
after I accepted my call to ministry, like the first couple
Yeah.
years, to be honest with you, I did have, like, certain degrees of like self-righteousness to me. You know what I'm
I was going
saying?
to say
But
you talked about that on the podcast. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I had to kind of shed that skin, those outer layers, as the Lord kept, working with me and bringing me through some stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, when the more the Lord brings you through things, like the less you're
Mm-hmm.
likely to be judgmental on others and their circumstances. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm very open to, people who are, dealing with struggles in all sort of ways, because I've been through so many struggles, man. Um, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I told you that, the Lord, he's definitely been working with me right now, but I'm so grateful that, it's building my character. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
As you
Mm-hmm.
persevere through some things, is building your character. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, like I'm a different person now than even when I
Yeah.
first accepted my call to ministry. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I, like, I even think on, like, my theology on some things, like, that I was given to my youth, because I'm, what I'm saying, I've been a youth pastor for a number of years, man. Um,
Yeah.
it was very
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
straightforward, man. But
Uh-huh.
um, your theology can evolve as well.
Mm-hmm.
Through a context, it still has to be washed in the Word. It still has to be
That's right.
washed in the
That's right.
Word,
Thank
but
you.
just
Thank you.
understanding that, like, Jesus, he went through like a whole life. He went through a
Mm-hmm.
whole life. He went
Mm-hmm.
through a wilderness experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
He got to
Yep.
that garden, and he was like, uh man, this is gonna suck. Do I really have to do this? Okay, I do have to do
Mm-hmm.
this. All right, I'll do this. You know what I'm saying? And the verse that most people know, Jesus wept. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, he's experienced so much in his life, and I'm so grateful that he did that internship. It's almost like that TV show where, the boss is undercover boss. You know what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
where
Uh-huh.
they,
Yeah.
they're CEOs, but they try their hands at different positions, but it gives them such an enriching point of view and makes them even more
Mm-hmm.
empathetic. So I know that
Mm-hmm.
him sitting at the right hand of the Father now, because of the things that he went through, the grace that he has for us is authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yep. Yep.
although he lived a life full of sin, that is the greatest accomplishment that any man has ever done in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yep. And yeah, you said a lot, man. You said a lot right there. And I'll tell you, I'm thinking of so many different things. You hit on so many things that are excellent. Even how you change your perspective, and we can go. This flows right into about guns. You talked
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
about how at first you was talking about, well, I definitely I never own a gun and never
Yeah.
carry a gun, and then you change your perspective on
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now you find out you own multiple guns, if I'm not misspeaking. But talk a little bit
Allegedly.
about how you change
Allegedly.
your gun there. What you
Allegedly.
said?
Allegedly. Allegedly. Yeah. 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 You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
You don't want folks to be in your pocket too much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
but yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, my stance changed on it, and I'm gonna give you the Clip Notes version of that. Um,
Sure.
I used to be like, against guns and whatnot. Uh, but then I had this revelation that there's a lot of crazy people that own guns, and I need to be able to protect myself and my family from these crazy
Mm-hmm.
people. That's the short version of it. And as
Mm-hmm.
I did more research, I mean, there's YouTube videos, all sort of YouTube videos out there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
with the advent of the internet and YouTube, there's really no excuse for being ignorant on these matters. So now,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if you put a Beretta, a Glock, a SIG,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying, in front of
Mm-hmm.
me, I can point them out and maybe even be able to tell you the model number of it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I've done a lot of research into it, and we especially as Black men, fathers,
Right.
husbands, we have a charge to protect our household, man. And
Mm-hmm.
and um, funny story, um, we did a gender reveal for our second child. Our first child was a
Uh-huh.
son. We did a gender reveal for our second child, and we popped the balloon, and the pink confetti came out, and I just
Mm-hmm.
remember like my son and I just soaking down here. We're like, oh man, like I don't know what he was thinking. I can't say what a little 4-year-old was thinking at the time,
Uh-huh.
but for me, I was like, it's gonna get real, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
having
Yeah.
a girl is different, man. Especially
Different,
when,
bro. Different.
yeah, it's
Yes,
just
sir.
different. Like anyone who, if you have a son and if you're expecting you're about to have a girl, it's just different, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My wife gets jealous of my daughter and I's relationship, when she's
Mm-hmm.
stroking my beard and rubbing her
Yeah.
hands through my
Yeah.
waves. I'm like, this could be you, but
Yeah.
you fronting. This could be you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
You
bro.
know what I mean? So
Exactly.
so
My thoughts too. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, and I appreciate your perspective because you even talked about even for women, letting them know that, and there's a lot of women, and I want to
mhm.
shout out somebody in a minute, but it's a lot of women now that are carrying guns and getting gun training, which is great too. But you even talked about carrying, you can have pepper spray, you can have something that
Absolutely.
just protects you, in case something happens. Yeah,
Look,
yeah, in
man, I
case
got
something
this
happens.
on me. You know what I'm saying? It looks like a bomb about
Yeah,
to detonate. You
it
know what I'm
does.
saying? But look,
Yeah, it does.
yeah, man. I
Yeah.
mean, if your everyday carry, and that's all it's called, your everyday carry.
Uh-huh.
It if you can't, have a 9 on the hip, or whatever,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? There's no excuse for you not. I mean, everybody's got should have like a pocket knife or, pepper spray or something
Yeah.
like that. That's a start, man. And you can disarm a lot of situations no matter where
Yeah.
you are. Like if we're in close
Yeah.
quarters and the dude, next to me, I see a situation escalating. He has a gun.
Mhm.
I have pepper spray. I might actually be at an advantage if I can pull that
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
faster than him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
it's
true.
so. I
That's
mean,
true.
it's you don't want to think like that, but I mean, we do live in like a world
Real
where there's
world.
there's a lot of wickedness, man. There's a lot of
Yeah.
wickedness. I mean,
Yeah.
y'all saw how things popped off on January
Yeah.
6th, man.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
all remember January 6th. I
Yeah.
remember I told my
Yeah.
boss, man, I was like, what I'm saying? He's a good dude. He's a white dude, man. I told him, I was like, bro, honestly, I can't even work the rest of the day. I gotta take the rest of the day
Yeah.
off, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was a lot for me to process. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And there's 74 million people who are mad right now, apparently, right?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
79 million, happy with the results, 74 that, are big mad.
Mhm.
Big mad.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good perspective. And my stepdad was actually working at the Capitol.
mhm.
When they stormed it, he was
Wow.
there. I mean, he was
Wow.
there. So it was a scary thing. Not knowing how he was for that. That time that Auburn changed, and then finally they got him escorted out and got him out of there. But yeah, and I got I'm drawing closer. I'm not there yet as far as owning,
Mhm.
but we have a guy, great guy, Andre Gibson Jr., who has it's called Shore Wellness Self Defense, and what he does is he's actually teaching people how to shoot. Him and his partner Teray, and what they're doing is great because they're getting a lot of women too, bro. They're getting a lot of. Sometimes the women are it's more women than men, and it's awesome. And I've still got to take the class, but I went to the range for the first time, me and my wife, and it was great, man, just to go out there and shoot and stress reliever. You know what I'm saying? It was for me too. Like, it was just got there to finally go out there and say I did it. And, you know, going forward, I would like to be trained so I know what to do. And then, you know, from there, I'm still not there yet as far as buying one in the house, but I'm with you about, you know, when you have a little girl, it's a little bit different, and, you know, and just the world in general, you know, it's a little bit different, man. It's a little bit different.
One other thing I got to say about that, man,
sure, go ahead.
Is like, you know, I remember the you know, the scariest moments for me was like, you know, the first time I held a gun in my hand, I made sure that the magazine wasn't in it multiple times. You know, racked it, make sure it was clean, and just pulling the trigger the first time. Just pulling the trigger the first time, man. And then, you know, that's one of the things that you can do if you can't get to the range. You know what I'm saying? You can always dry fire. I like to dry fire on occasion. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. It's empty. You know what I'm saying? You just, you know, work on, you know, the muscle memory with the trigger wall and whatnot. But the other thing was when I went to the range the first time, you know, obviously you normally have your earmuffs on, your eye protection, stuff like that. When I first was, you know, going to my booth, you know, this other dude, he was blasting his gun, and that thing was loud, man. It was loud, right? I was like, oh snap, what's he got over there? And then I started popping mine off the first time. I'm like, yeah, mine just as loud as his. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's loud, man.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like you just getting over those humps and whatnot, and then you know, you start working on like not just hitting a piece of paper, but actually, you know, hitting the target, hitting the bullseye. You know what I'm saying? Getting good groupings and whatnot, man. It's just a, you know, evolution you gotta go through, man.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing about, you know, getting comfortable even with the NB clip and shooting. That's a great point, to get comfortable, that muscle memory and just being comfortable with it too. So no, I appreciate you saying that. Real Sports and Podcast here is 8:04 p.m. Got Randy Hayes, hosted the Tank Sport podcast. Excuse me. We had a great conversation. We talked about a number of things. I got a couple more things I want to talk to him about. I want to get you off here on time, so I want to make sure that we hit on a couple of things. But listen, man, the best episode for me, you know, everybody's different, but man, for me, and this one I listened to the whole thing. I even rewinded some parts and listened again. But it was I don't know if it's your last episode, but it's the last episode that I've seen that's on here. Was episode 11. I've been redeemed by Christ Jesus. Man, Jessica Newsom, is it? UMES, another UMES Hawk. Shout out to the Hawks.
Yes.
Bro. I'm still just shaking my head, man, because it was just powerful. Dog, it was just powerful, man. And listen, for everybody listening, the Think Tank podcast on Spotify, Randy Hayes. You got to listen to the whole podcast. But if you want, start with 11. Because the transparency that she exhibited, you know, telling her story, you know, bro, it gave me strength. It inspired me. It gave me power. It encouraged me. It did so many things, man. So, man, just talk about, you know, just how that came together, man, how you were able to get her on the show. And she's got a long list of accolades, things she's doing, you know, writing and podcasts and ministry. And I mean, she's amazing, man. But let's talk about that episode, man.
She's got like a nationally syndicated radio show and podcast. Yeah. She's an author.
Yeah.
You know, she has like many speaking engagements and whatnot. And, you know, her testimony is, you know, based on, you know, how she found Christ. She found Christ first. Let's talk about this. She found Christ first.
I like that. Yeah,
and then
talk about this, man.
And then, you know, the Lord, you know, worked with her on her life to the point that, you know, she gave up lesbianism. And, you know, I know Jessica like better than most people because Jessica and her crew and me and my crew, the Liquid crew. Shout out to the Liquid crew. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Like,
sir.
we used to, get up all the time on Thirsty Thursdays. Thirsty
Hmm.
Thursdays. That was the move. And
Hmm.
she was wild, man. She was wild, but she was, 100% lesbian wild. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
So
she was.
so
Yep.
so there was like different games inside of games going on and stuff like that. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so but the next time I see her after I graduate from college, I see her like on a podcast like like completely the same way some people feel about me, and the transformation from angry, like I was like, what? You know what I'm saying?
What?
And
Exactly. Yeah.
and I mean, we've had like, and look, man, if you've ever just had like, drunken nights, you know what I'm saying? You know how you have those drunken night deep
Hmm.
conversations, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So
Yep.
so
Hmm.
so her and I, we had like those drunken night deep conversations and whatnot. And so, I told Toya this and I was curious which episode you were gonna say. That's my personal favorite episode as well,
Oh,
episode
okay.
11, man.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that they're all my babies and stuff, but one of the things is like as you listen to me, from episode to episode, and you can probably tell this, man. You're being nice, man, but I'm getting more and more comfortable into the
Yep.
role
Yeah,
that I'm
you
in.
are.
You know what I'm saying?
You
I'm
are.
learning some of this
Yeah.
editing. I'm learning some
Yeah.
of this
Yeah.
editing as well, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah. More and more
conversations
comfortable.
and whatnot, man. But it was just a lot of people aren't they don't have the ability to be as transparent as she was.
Mm-mm.
Like she
Mm-mm.
put it all out there, and I put some of
Yeah.
mine out there too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. You
Like,
did. Yes, you
you know what I
did.
mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I think she was the first person I got to cry on the podcast, so I can check that box
Hmm.
off the list and
Hmm.
whatnot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's all about growth. Whatever the
Yeah.
episodes are, it's all about growth, man. And before we continue, I gotta get this off my chest.
Hmm.
I don't want to forget this, man.
Sure.
For
Sure.
those of y'all who don't know, you know, I had to holler at this man right here, man. It was about it was a couple days after the new year this year, and
Yeah.
I knew, what I'm saying, like when I thought of podcast, he was like the first person I thought of. And I picked his brain a lot, man. I was telling him how I was scared, and we started talking
Hmm.
about what format to use, and
Hmm.
he was telling
Hmm.
me, that he appreciated the format that I have because I can go any which way with with subject matters and
Hmm.
things of that nature. I appreciate that freedom, and to be honest with you, man, I've been in the pulpit for over 10 almost 15 years, and I've been doing this podcast for a couple of months. This feels right, man. This feels like
Man,
this is my
that
place.
doesn't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, I tell you, man, we don't want to court today, bro, because you hitting on so many things, man. Like even things I've been thinking. Like when you talk about even, okay, I was gonna go somewhere, but I'm glad you said that. Even what you just said about, feeling like this is my niche, like this is
Mm-hmm,
what I should be doing.
mm-hmm,
There are some people that maybe even at the time you first started, about like, what you doing that for? You got your own, you
right,
got your ministry, you're
right.
you're preaching, you're teaching, and yes, I am, and I'm gonna continue to do that.
Mm-hmm,
But there's still another lane for me where I can touch some people that maybe I couldn't touch on the pulpit.
yeah.
And saying some of the same things, because you quote scripture and stuff still on there
Oh yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
I do in a pulpit, but it's a different audience. And and
Absolutely.
and so I appreciate even your transparency in saying that basically, and I'll say it in my words now, that there's more than one way to skin a cat.
No doubt.
There's more than one way to skin a cat. So thanks for you acknowledging me, man, and it was an honor to talk to you, man. And like I said, that conversation sparked a lot of stuff even for me, man. So iron sharpen iron, right?
Yes, sir.
Iron sharpen
Yes,
iron,
sir.
man. So, but yeah, that episode was great. episode 11. Again, for the audience that's listening and is going to listen, she talked about so much, and Randy talked about so much. You got to go listen to the whole thing. Like, I'm not even going to begin to even sit here and tell you this point. Go listen. Go listen. The Think Tank podcast. You can find that on Spotify, and we're going to let Randy punch that a little bit more towards the end. We almost at the end. I do want to hit you with a couple more things.
Okay.
And then we're gonna get out of here. If I got time, y'all got time, hit you with a couple quick hitters as well.
Sure.
I did want to ask you as far as podcast goes, because you're right. I did notice how comfortable you got as you're more and more going on, and that's how it normally is. That's how it should be, right? What's the biggest task for you, or I don't even know if I'm saying it right, or bridge between doing a podcast with just yourself talking, because you've done that with just you, compared to having guests? Because I also seen, shout out to Tristan too, another fellow, Chef Tristan. Yeah, gotta shout him out too. But what's that dynamic like with? Okay, do I do this week by myself? Do I get this guest? Like, talk about the behind the scenes a little bit for the people.
So I mean, I got like this I'm not gonna size it too much, but it's like a master list of like different topics that I want to cover and whatnot. And one of the main challenges is being patient. You want to do it all at once. You want to do it all at once. Like, I went through a few episodes and I was like, there's something I really got to get off my chest, man. But, I waited for a couple more episodes, and then I just put a little snippet out there, where I was talking about, like these, I call them God moments that people have, these aha moments in their lives, whether it be like with Tristan, making it work with those internships, or, Mark, being incarcerated and still finishing his degree, in agriculture, and these God moments, and just being prepared for that. So like, I try to find that balance of, bringing those things to the forefront, but also like I've noticed that, people just really appreciate like when they get to hear another point of view. I feel a lot more comfortable when I have someone else to talk to than when I'm just doing like a monologue and stuff like that. Because to be honest with you, man, like, and this is just me being transparent with you, sometimes I wrestle with insecurities. You know what I'm saying? Like, do they really want to hear from Randy? You know what I'm saying? And I know that's just negative talk and stuff like that, but you know what I mean? Like, I wrestle with those things, and it's good to have someone. It brings more energy when you have other people to talk to, if they bring energy themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Like, some interviews have been better than others. But at the end of the day, if it's a quality topic and you do your homework, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be good, man.
Yeah. Well said. Because when I was listening, I noticed that trend, and that's just one of the things I wanted to go in, because like I said, people had no idea. Obviously you see the finished product, but the preparation, you know what I mean, that goes into it, week to week, and talking about patience is big, because you do get all these ideas, right? And you want to do this, you want to say this, and you're right, and like me, I already know next year what I want to do.
Yes.
And I would love for like right now to be like, well, scratch this, I'm gonna start it right now. But see, that's where it also goes back to even though we're doing a podcast, we're still listening to the man above. It's still all about God's timing. You know what I mean? It's still about God's timing. We don't want to rush and get ahead of him. When he has a certain plan laid out, man. So thanks for sharing that. Get down to the end, but I do want to talk about your support system. I definitely want to talk about your beautiful wife, and how does she support you in your ministry, man, because you're a busy man. Like I say, you got, ministry and apparel and podcasts, and obviously, with the kids and stuff like that, man. So just talk about the importance for people listening of having that support system at home.
Oh yeah, man. Having a great support system at home is everything. It literally makes or breaks you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm.
um, it's funny when it comes to the podcast. Like, the green light that I got from her was it came on Christmas Day. It came on Christmas Day when I
Yeah.
opened up a present, and it was a USB microphone, and
Mm.
like, to me it was almost divine when I saw the microphone in the box, because she says that I told her, what I'm saying, that that's what I wanted
Mm.
for Christmas, but like I don't remember telling her that. And I'm like, she's reading my mind, you know what I'm saying? We're
Yeah.
connecting, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's right.
okay.
That's
But but
right.
but but regardless, I mean, she could have, got any number of things. So she knew the fuse that she was lighting when she got that, man. And
Mm.
I appreciate her being patient with me, like when I need to carve out time, like even tonight, you know what I'm saying, whether I'm hosting or the guest, you know what I'm saying, like carving out time for me to do
Yeah.
these things, because we got two lively kids, a 8-year-old and a
Mm.
4-year-old, and you know
Yeah.
it's that's a lot of work. I know, man. Yeah, so
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
when it comes to the clothing line, though, one of the things that I'm excited about this year is I'm excited about scaling my business.
Mm.
It's right now I'm kind of on my project Pat Master P, selling out the trunk of my
Mm-hmm.
car and whatnot, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I have a website out there. I have a website right now, but I just have trouble keeping the inventory in. So I'm excited about
Okay.
scaling and taking things to the next level with that
Yeah.
business, man. But um, and that actually brings me, I started to allude to it before, but that's one of the things that I has evolved with my theology and ministry. So I would always tell my youth when I was younger that God doesn't believe in uh soulmates. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like, he
Mm.
believes in covenant, because once
Mm. Yes,
you
sir. Covenant.
once you say I do, that's supposed to be permanent. Um
Mm.
but yeah, and the other thing is, there's what, like 7-8 billion people in the world right now. How crazy would that be
Mm.
for him to entrust you to find the one person that's right for you?
Mm. Mm.
But on the flip side, one thing that I would add to that, and this is a bonus. I know I'm kind of going off topic, but this
Nah,
is
you good. You
this is
good.
this is for
It's
somebody,
good.
man. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
good. Yeah.
One of the things that I do believe in is energy. You know what I'm saying? And I know that sounds, worldly to some of y'all churchy folks, but I believe in, energy and vibes, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to make sure that, that person, if you're, courting someone, or even if you're just observing them from far before you decide if you want to approach, you need to make sure that that energy matches up. And if you start seeing red flags on this is the flip side of it. If you start seeing red flags as you're going through the courting process or you're observing, don't think that, putting a ring on it is going to magically change that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
you you you
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah.
you gotta know, like, what you see is what you get. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
a marriage and
Mm.
damn sure a wedding is not gonna
Yeah.
magically change, you know what I'm saying, anything about a person.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-mm.
So understand that, if you're making a decision that's, long term, you know what I'm saying, it's supposed to be permanent, make it count. Some of y'all put
Mm-hmm.
more, research into, the car that you're gonna buy or the shoes that
Yep.
you're gonna wear
Yep.
than the person that you're gonna
Facts.
marry and spend the rest of your life with, man.
Facts. That's a hey, drop them gems, man. Drop them gems. That's good. We need all that. We need all that. Man, I appreciate you sharing that, man. That's the real right there. Man, I'm gonna hit you with a couple quick things. We got about 9 minutes, man. Told you I'm gonna get y'all there on time.
So,
Anger man.
yeah.
You said that name a lot, man. Tell the people, you know, because people come here and say, why you keep saying it was Angry Man? Man, tell the people a little bit about, you know, where Angry Man came from, man, even though he's been gone for a long time.
So, you know, it started, I graduated from North Stafford High School on June 14th, 2001. And I enrolled at UMES in what's called the PACE program on June 17th, 2001. So I had my graduation, and literally the start of the next week, I'm back in school.
I did not know that.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm coming from VA, so I think Maryland may have let out a little bit earlier, but you know what I'm saying? I didn't have a summer. And some of the dudes from the Liquid crew that I kick it with now, man, you know what I'm saying? We started out in PACE at the same time. You know, PACE is an interesting program. I don't really know how to describe it, you know what I'm saying? But I think one of the things it does is it weeds out folks who maybe aren't gonna make it, you know, into the school year. Because there was some folks that didn't make it through PACE, man. But I have a lot of you know what I'm saying, friends and lifelong friends that I made through, you know, the PACE program. And then you know, Angry, you know what I'm saying? I was really like a young dude who was, you know what I'm saying, in a new state, you know what I'm saying, a new area. And, you know, I was trying to find my way. I mean, I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder because I felt like an outsider. And, you know what I'm saying, like, I did some wild things. You know, some things that I might just have to take to the grave. You know what I'm saying?
It's you and God, no, you and God.
Yeah. And maybe some of them Liquid crew folk, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it was a transformation that I had to go through because, you know, I was still finding myself. And you know, when you mix, you know, some alcohol and other substances in, you know what I'm saying, it brings out, you know, a certain side of you as well. So I think that's the short version of Angry Man. He did some, you know, legendary things and whatnot, but you know, I've always been a good person at heart. You know what I'm saying? I think it would probably have been more appropriate if I was called, like, you know, Crazy Man. You know what I'm saying? Than Angry Man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't, you know, just walk around grumpy, but I mean, you know, maybe we can put a poll up at some point and find out what name they thought was more suitable.
Yeah. I wouldn't not be played with, man. Walk by, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing to him, man. Look me, but nah.
Yeah. I was on edge
that's always fun. But yeah, you know, it's something though. It just talks about, you know, and I know I said quick, but man, you be saying too much stuff, man. It gets my mind thinking. Gets my mind thinking because two things came to my mind. You know, one about how God can change you. You know, about how he can God. You said something earlier in the episode. You know, and I think it might have had to do with Jessica about, you know, basically not putting words in your mouth, but God accepting you as who you are.
Yes.
You know, a lot when you get, I always tell people when you get saved, if you waited or not even, you know, even before you can say go to church, let's even say that, because everyone go to church and say, even going to church, if everyone that said, you know what, I got to get everything in my life together before I go into church, man, we never be there. Your church be empty right now. The church be empty right now. So you it's something that you said with that, but it goes back to, you talked about your crew, the Liquor crew. And one thing I respect about you, man, is that, and I respect about your friends, you know, and I obviously I'm, you know, real good friends with one of them, is that
we took
they
you
accept
in, man.
that. Yeah, y'all took me, and thank you, man. I'm honorable mention God, you know what I mean, and the crew, man, you know what I'm saying? But they didn't try to change. They didn't try to obstruct your change. They didn't, you know, they seen that you were changing for the good, and they didn't say, "Hey, man, come on, man, watch you." You know what? You know, and I wasn't there every day, but I know, you know, in a sense of how things was. And then for you, as you became who you were, you talked about a little bit of self-righteous, early on and stuff like that. But when it came to your friends, you didn't disown your friends either. You didn't say, well, I'm a minister now, man. I'm doing this. I gotta live like this, man. I can't be. You understand what I'm saying? Like you still were true to who you are.
I can't let the Liquid Crew. I can't let the LQC off that easy. You know what I'm saying? They definitely did try me. They definitely did try me. You know what I'm saying? And look, we all grow at different paces. You know what I'm saying? Some of them still do try me. You know what I'm saying? But they do respect the change that they see. They respect the change that they see, man. And you know what I'm saying? Like it's cool to to watch them grow. And I mean that's what it's about at the end of the day. We all gotta grow, man. We all gotta grow. You know what I'm saying? Look, I was just talking about it. Look, Nas and Jay-Z out here doing DJ Khaled, you know what I'm saying? Songs again. I know they did Black Republicans back in the day, but you know what I'm saying? They out here doing songs again. I mean, like some of us still caught up on the Nas and Jay-Z beef. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, we gotta grow up, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of life. We gotta grow up. You know what I'm saying? I got a little bit of a dad bod and stuff like that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like I embrace the grown and sexiness. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. And you went right into one of my other quick hitter question because I know you still you have an ear and you remember things and your top 5 rappers of all time. I'm putting you on the spot. I know I didn't get it's a quick hitter. Top 5 rappers. I'm putting you on the spot.
Man,
I'm sorry. Top 5. Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. I know. Top 5. Your top 5. Your top 5. Your top 5.
My top 5. I gotta preface when I say my top 5, what I'm really interpreting that as are my 5 favorite.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Okay. I like that. That's fine. Yeah.
All right. So gotta put Nas in there. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, bro. I love me some Wale, man. I love Wale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Kendrick, that's my man.
Yeah.
Gotta have Kendrick in there.
Okay. Deep brothers. That's 3 deep brothers.
It's about to get real now, man. You know what I'm saying? Like those were easy. Those were easy, man.
And I see why too.
Oh gosh, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right. I gotta go a different direction with it. You know what I'm saying? I gotta put my man Lecrae out there. Lecrae, how about that?
Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah, I like that.
If y'all don't know who Lecrae is, y'all go do y'all's research.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
I gotta put Lecrae out there, and you know what, man? I'm a dig deep, man. This last one, I'm gonna put Sho Baraka out there. A dude named Sho Baraka.
Oh, okay. Sho Baraka. Okay.
So the last 2 that I mentioned, if you know what I'm saying, y'all may not have heard it. Y'all may have heard of Lecrae, but those last 2, those are Christian hip hop artists, man. You know what I'm saying? CHH, man.
Ooh.
And I appreciate how far CHH has come. You know what I'm saying? Because it used to be the production was terrible and the rappers were subpar, but now I can proudly say that the content they putting out, you know what I'm saying, like it's right up there, man.
That's what's up. And my last question for you, if you were to pick one person to be your dream guest on your podcast, anybody in the world, man, you can sit down and have a candid conversation with them about anything you want. Who would it be and why? Yeah, I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Bro, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give an honorable mention to Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I gotta slide that in there, but honestly, I'm working on getting this dude, man. I'm working on getting one of my dream guests on the podcast right now. I just need him to answer my DMs. I need him to answer my DMs. You know what I'm saying? It's a dude named William Branch, aka the Ambassador.
Okay.
who's actually, he's one of the pioneers in Christian hip hop. But the dude is, I would not have a bookcase like this if it wasn't for dudes like him. He ended up going to Dallas Theological Seminary. I ended up going to Dallas Theological Seminary for a bit. Priscilla Shire, Andy Stanley, you know what I'm saying, Ravi Zacharias, a bunch of, you know what I'm saying, like Tony Evans, a bunch of folks, Charles Stanley, folks that you might know or heard of if you know, heavy in your walk, man. Like they all went to DTS, man, but he was like the first one that opened that rabbit hole for me, man. And like him and I, we're on one accord right now, talking about the struggle and, like, you know, the racial divide and the implications that has on all of eternity. To you know, put it out there. So I mean, I would just love to have like a good theological conversation with him, man.
That's real, man. That's real. That's real, man. Man, I appreciate you sharing this, man. Look, man, this has been a awesome conversation, man. And I'm gonna definitely gonna get off here. I'm gonna make sure I share this and tag you, because something was wrong with the tag feature last couple weeks. They hadn't done this new Zoom update, and they making it different to go live Facebook. So I'm gonna tag you. I'm gonna tag you in that. Make sure that everybody you know, see everything. There's already been some you know, a lot of people watching. Definitely appreciate everybody's support. I'll have it on YouTube. I'll make sure I tag you. But listen, man, let the people know, man, where they can find you at on all your social media platforms, and also, you know, about the podcast, man, where they can find the podcast at.
Okay. All right. So let me start first and foremost with my my apparel. I don't want to forget about that as well.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, for sure.
You know, the name of my apparel company is TGB TG Apparel. That stands for To God Be the Glory Apparel. So you can, I have a Facebook page. I also have an Instagram page, TGB TG Apparel. You can find it either way on Facebook or Instagram. You can follow me as Randy Hayes on Facebook. And on Instagram, you know, you gotta get creative on Instagram. So you know, my Instagram is I'm running for my life. I'm running for my life. And that's without a G on running. And then finally, on Instagram, I also have a Think Tank page. A page should be coming to soon for Facebook, but I'm thinking about switching platforms. I'll tell you about that later, bro.
Oh, we gotta talk.
Yeah, but it's the _ think _ tank _ podcast on Instagram. So check us out on there. And if you want to listen to full episodes of the Think Tank podcast, you can listen to it on Spotify. You can listen to it on the Anchor app, or you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts. On any of those platforms, if you put in the Think Tank podcast or Randy Hayes, it should pop right up, man.
Yep. Man, that's awesome, man. I'm telling you guys, man, please after this, man, go make sure you listen, man. Great podcast, a lot of great content, talking about a lot of things, and
still, you know, like you
said earlier, a conversation, man. Hey, let me know, man. I'm there. Let me know, brother. Let me know. We definitely gonna get together, man. But listen, man, I appreciate you, man. Listen, I appreciate you, man. You know, coming on, and man, it's been a great conversation, man. It's helped me. It's blessed me. I know it's blessed a lot of people, man. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here, man?
Hey, man. Yeah, one other thing I want to say is, you know, I was talking to my dad, and you know, he's one of my faithful listeners to my podcast, and he pulled me aside one day, and he was like, "Rand, I've really been enjoying the podcast, and you got some really cool friends, man. You know what I'm saying?" And it felt good, you know, hearing that from him. And he also said, you know, I'm glad to see that, you know, the money we spent at UMES wasn't a waste of time. So I'm like, man, it took the podcast for you to think that.
And I know that's funny, man, because you definitely had a lot of hawks on there. And if you talk about having me, that's another hawk. Your dad gonna be like, man, You really did do something at school.
Hey man,
And network,
it's the
bro. And
best
network.
recruiting for UMES 7, man.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm glad you did share that, man. But anytime, yeah, you can, the parents listening, and same thing, man, with my mom and dad, man. They listen, man. They support, man. So, man, it means a
Oh,
lot, man.
I got one more thing, bro.
Sure. Go ahead.
I got to touch on my high school career. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was what they call an underachiever. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
growing up and playing football. I came to football late in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like I started
Mm-hmm.
playing high school football as a junior and whatnot. So I didn't have
Oh
all the
yeah, yeah.
I didn't have all the bureaucracy going for me. And I had the
Mm-hmm.
skills to be like a starter, but I didn't fight for it or jockey for it or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was like a hell of a scout team player. But if there's anybody out here, I don't know how many younger audience that you have, man. I ended up like coaching high school football later. And one of the
Mm.
things that I encourage you
Oh
is,
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, we got
yeah,
11
yeah,
or 12,
yeah,
2011,
yeah,
2012. Yeah,
yep.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things that I encourage y'all, man, like every now and then, like once in a blue moon, I'll have dreams about like, being back at North Stafford, and the
Me
coach
too.
telling me to get in the game and stuff like that. And
Mm.
and anyone who's ever played sports has probably those dreams
Yeah,
that haunt you. You don't want to look back on your time, you
that's
know,
right.
whether it's really in sports or anything, and
Mm-hmm.
have regrets on not leaving it all out on the field, man. So I just
Mm-hmm.
encourage you
Yeah.
to leave it all out on the field, man.
Man, hey, that's a great message, man. Look, just like in church, man, when the preacher preaching good, man, I ain't that person to come behind the speaker, and add to it, man. So listen, man, Randy Hayes,
You funny.
the Think Tank podcast, man, bro, I appreciate you, just being on, man. And now, one thing I do want you to say, man, just for people, man, tell them, also, you are a minister. Let them know your church home and where you
Yeah.
minister at. Before we go.
Okay. So if y'all ever happen to be coming through Stafford, Virginia, um, if you go to the church, no one's gonna be there. We're still virtual right now.
Yeah.
But we're on Zoom. We have Zoom calls, and it's Shiloh New Site Baptist Church in Stafford, Virginia. Um, that's my church home. That's actually where I met my wife. You know what I'm
Awesome.
saying? And so we were youth there, and now we've got youth there, and I'm a youth
Yeah.
pastor and whatnot. So, yeah, man, you check us out.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Man, you heard it, man. Randy Hayes, man, appreciate you stopping by, man, to be on the Royal Sports Fan Podcast. Appreciate everybody out there for listening. And again, I'll make sure that once this goes on YouTube, I tag you, my brother. I appreciate you, man. Be safe, man.
Yes, sir. You be
We out of
blessed,
here.
man. All right, love you, man.
You too, brother. All right,
Peace.
man. Love you too. Peace.